report of the Ad hoc Committee on Crude Oil Theft on the investigation of the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta and its actors. Mr. President, the committee, after exhaustive deliberation and review of its findings, recommended as follows. 1, that the federal government should mandate the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, to strictly enforce internationally acceptable crude oil measurement standards at all production sites and export terminals, or restore back to the Weights and Measures Department of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to the upstream sector and empower it to acquire and use state-of-the-art measuring equipment at all production sites and export terminals. This will promote and strengthen accurate measurements, transparency, accountability in the oil and gas industry. 2, the federal government should deploy adequate modern technology, equipment, logistics to security agencies to enable them function effectively. The federal government should set up a special court to promptly prosecute crude oil thieves and their collaborators. 5, federal government should immediately implement the Host Communities Development Trust Fund under the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, to reduce sabotage.
Also based on the interim investigation of crude sales from 2015 to date, other investigation by the international consultant in the United Kingdom and Canada, the committee projects the discovery of 200 billion of unaccounted crude oil sales proceeds, which require further investigation and recovery. So if you add this 200 billion plus 81 billion, it means there is a gap of 281 billion. But towards the end of the recommendation of the committee, this is where my problem lies. 7, the ad hoc committee should be given the mandate to track, trace, and recover all proceeds of stolen crude oil transactions, both locally, internationally, as forensic review by the consultant. That is my problem. My problem is that we are a parliament. You can only track, trace, and report. Track, trace, and report. Nowhere in this constitution, no decided rules have given us a legitimate mandate to recover. So what I think we should do, the committee should know, they should give us specified losses, locations, and then report to the Senate. And then the Senate, in its conclusion, will now say, this is channel to either EFCC, ICPC, for pursuing their legitimate action. Because to recover is a very big something that is not within the purview of the parliament.
Adeola Solomon Olamilekon, representing Ogun West Senatorial District. The final report is not here, but from the interim report, as forensic review by the consultant shows over $22 billion, $81 billion, and $200 billion. Mr. President, this fund that is mentioned in this report, if you look at it, all put together, we are talking about $300 billion. And it is expected that the consultant that handled this should come up with the detailed list of those that are involved in these kind of actions, so that we can start from there by, 1, looking at how they arrived at this to defraud the country to the sum of 300 billion. In terms of tracking and recovery, that is a different segment entirely. And that is why are we not go ahead and jump into conclusion on this report? Because it's still interim in nature. So I will employ the committee to give us more information about this recommendation before we go ahead and agree to it.
So we need to know who are the actors. 3, 4, we need to know well by well, rig by rig, where these losses occurred. And if they have occurred somewhere illegally, we need to know which ones are illegally burnt. And if they occur through losses or pipeline leakages, we need to know how many from which point to which point, how many liters of crude oil was lost in that kind of category. So it's a comprehensive work that needed to be done, sir. We will accept this one, maybe chairman will accept it as an interim report while the work goes on. And like you rightly said, our work is to make recommendation. If 20 billion is missing, home or abroad or anywhere, is not responsibility of any senator or any lawmaker to go and locate and take that money. We have, by law, given that powers to certain agencies of government to carry out. I so submit, Mr. Chairman.
And then the Special ADHOC Committee on Crude Oil Theft, headed by our brother, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko, for this interim report. I believe it's a step in the right direction. So we will not go into the full prayers until we have the full report before us. But with what we have now, it's work in progress. So we thank you and commend you on behalf of the Senate for the efforts that you are putting. And we say continue. You are in the right track.